Guys, your next project in this class is to work on developing a brochure for, again, the Boston Terrier Rescue. When you do great work for a client, they come back and ask for more. Um, so it's pretty exciting to have that opportunity, right? Um, for this project, we're going to do a trifold brochure mentioning the mission statement, doing the vector trace of the logo if you haven't done the vector trace of the logo yet, information on adoption and donating and fostering. All of that information is available on the website, and there's a PDF attached. If you click on the assignment itself, you can download the PDF that's attached that has all the text that you need. You can add more text, but you cannot omit text from that information that's going into the layout. So if you want to put more in, that's fine, but you can't delete stuff to make text fit. You can use any graphics and photos that you want to from the website, but make sure that they are resized to 300 dpi, which would make them about 2/3 smaller in height and width. There is a video in week 1 that shows how to resize images without resampling images. It's very important for this project. All of the images will need to be CMYK color mode and saved as TIFF files before they're placed into Adobe InDesign. So let me show you how to lay out your brochure in Adobe InDesign. So if we pop into Adobe InDesign, we can look at New Document for print layout. Letter size is perfect. Orientation, we're going to do horizontal, and I want to make sure I'm 8.5 by 11 here. So 8.5 tall by 11 wide. That's perfect. It's a 2-page layout, front to back. So we need to have 2 pages, and I'm going to uncheck facing pages. Facing pages is if you're doing like a magazine spread, not a brochure layout. We can start on page 1, but if you don't want it to start staggered, you can type in page 2 here. It really doesn't matter. And for this part, columns and gutter, you can do 3 columns here and make a gutter about, let's do a 0.66 inch gutter here. And then for margins, let's give ourselves a 0.33 inch margin on all 4 sides. So why did I do that? The margin is the outside portion of the page. The gutter is what would be columns of text, but we're going to use that gutter as a fold mark instead. So if you have a 0.3 inch margin on the outside of the page and you have a fold, you actually have to have 0.3 on either side of the fold, which doubles it to that 0.6 inch column gutter. So I'm going to hit create, and very slowly, my software is not the fastest. There we go. Now I can see my page layout. So if I click on pages, I've got page 1 and page 2, perfect non-facing pages, and I've got this master page up here. I want to click on the master page, and I want to add my fold marks to this thing. So I'm going to need to mark off a center for here and here between each of these gutters. So if you don't like the math and you want it to be a pretty easy process, just take your 11-inch page divided by 3 equals 3.66 or 3.67. Take my rectangle tool, click 3.67 for width, hit OK. If you hear any gurgling noises, that's my pug. She's kind of gross. I can use that rectangle as a ruler. Then you won't screw up the math. Your page will be perfectly evenly laid out. There's your fold guides, but those aren't the fold lines. We need to add those fold lines in. So to represent a fold in a layout, you're going to use a dashed line, and that line needs to be drawn off the page into the bleed on both sides. I'm going to hold down the shift key so it's a perfect straight line. I'm going to arrow it over so it sits right on top of the guide. And you can see it hangs off the top, hangs off the bottom. Then I'm going to go to stroke. I'm going to make it a dash. So 3 and 2 or 3 and 4, either one's fine. I'm going to drop the weight of the stroke down to 0.25. Very, very, very light. So there's the stroke. If I hide my guides, you can see that little tiny line in there. Command semicolon hides guides. That's not enough. If we printed this thing as is, we would print a dotted line. We don't want to print the dotted line. We want to hide that. If we cover it up, you want to cover it from cut line to cut line. This is on the master page. And you want to use no stroke and a white film, paper colored film. So now, if I hide my guides, the fold shows on the ends, but it doesn't show on the print, which is what we want. We want that fold to show in the bleed only. So show my guides again. Now I'm just going to take this little guy, copy paste it, and put it over here. Make sure it's aligned perfectly. And look at my pages. And there it is, locked in. Perfectly locked in on page 1, perfectly locked in on page 2. So that's how you lay out your fold marks on your brochure. Now on page 1, this is the cover, this is the back center, this is the flap, and on page 2 you can do a full page spread. You can do 2 columns in one. When it opens up like a nice flat page, so you have a lot of freedom of design here and you can have fun with it. Hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, please email your professor.